Howdy folks, my name's Darren from RC Scale Models, and today we have another kit. This one from Zvezda. It's the C-130H Hercules in 1/72nd scale. This is brand new tooling for 2020. Let's take a look what we get in the box. We are greeted on this side of the box. We have a little bit of information. We have some of the colour callouts. They are calling out for Zvezda paints itself and Tamiya, which is probably pretty much typical for Zvezda. We have a kit number is 7321. More advertisement on the side. We have several schemes. We can do US Air Force, Polish Air Force, Korean Air Force, Japanese Air Force, and a Royal Air Force, which is in the wraparound camouflage type scheme. This is what the kit can potentially look like once it's built up. This one is built up in the US markings. Pretty cool. You get an interior loading bay, wheels, so it's pretty cool. As I say, it's 1/72nd scale, 314 parts. Length of the aircraft is going to be 41.4 centimeters, so it's going to be as long as the box pretty much. Yeah, it's a top opening box. I find Zvezda sometimes do a box within a box. We shall see which one this one is. Nope, this is just a normal envelope type box. So we have several bags of plastic. We have the worksheet, decals. So we'll take a closer look at this. So this is what I'll get for paperwork wise. You get your worksheet, and then we've got this bag. It's got other stuff in it, so we'll quickly go through what's in this bag. Okay, we take a look at these decals quickly while we're here. So this is what you get for your markings for the countries and stuff. Unfortunately, with the British roundels, the blue and the red have slightly bled into one another. Some people it might not matter, but to me they're not perfect, so I'm going to have to source some English markings if I go to English aircraft, which I'll probably end up doing anyway, but I am going to source different markings anyway because I want to do mine slightly different than what's in the kit. But unfortunately mine is slightly messed up, but that's not a problem. We get this other giant decal sheet. The black ones and the yellow ones are the walkways on top of the wings, serial numbers for the British, American markings and stuff. So this is more decals. Also in the bag you've got your clear. Got your clear sprue with all the windows, lights, and your main cockpit glass. Unfortunately, I have noticed with this cockpit glass there isn't much framing, and the way it's going to slot into the aircraft there isn't much room for error, which is a bit of a shame. I would have preferred they would have done it as the top piece, for instance, like on top of the aircraft, as if they'd done this whole top front section as one piece instead of like a oval shaped piece. I would have preferred it if they'd done it as like a big D shaped piece. I think it would have been better. These are the colours callouts. This is the British, this is the American one, and it's calling out for what type of grey are they calling that for? Still number 31 is just generic grey FX73, because that's what they're calling out for Tamiya. These are the other markings. You get the Polish one, again, is in grey. The North Korean one's pretty cool. It's in camouflage, which is grey, dark green and a lighter grey. It's actually checking on the colours. It's actually khaki, green and grey, that one. The Japanese, it looks like it's blue, but it's actually 3 types of different greys. So it's like a bluey grey, grey and a light grey. And we have the RF version, early days, which is the typical splinter camouflage from the Cold War type era. So it's the grey and RF dark green and RF dark sea grey, I believe is the colour. That's pretty cool. Here's your main worksheet. You have a little bit of history on the aircraft. So as you start off with your sprue map and all the parts, your first section is working on the cockpit, which is pretty typical. A nice touch, we do get some pilot figures, which is pretty cool. Saves having to put seat belts in and stuff, so I'll probably put the figures in. You're not going to see an awful lot inside this cockpit anyway. With most 1/72 large aircraft like this, there isn't much to see. It's all about the outside. We have the main walkway or cargo area with one of the main bulkheads. And then once the cockpit's been built up, you can put that in. Working on the sides of the aircraft, you've got internal parts to go in. You've got this piece for the door. These are internal parts, more doors, internal walkways and whatever. And these are the segments. They're asking for you to cut it to length. Don't know why they've done that, why they didn't make it to length already, unless there's another variant coming out and the internal bay is going to be slightly different. We have part of the wheelbase segment, so this is the internal for the wheel bay, sorry. These are the outsides, and more glass and side pieces going on, and then it'll be the same process on the other side. This is more internal parts for seats. This is the roof of the aircraft. It's got piping and stuff, like this is all piping and whatever. Once that's been sandwiched in, again you're working on the other side with doors and windows, and it's pretty much repeating the process. And once it's all complete, you can sandwich the two halves together. You can have the back door open or closed. Then you go into your wing segments. The wing segment doesn't look overly complicated, but it requires a couple of holes to drill out. And you're working on your engine nacelles, which is done in several parts. Looking at this wing piece here, doesn't look too bad. I noticed there is no kind of wing support or wing strut, so hopefully it's not too soft and it doesn't bend under its own weight. Hopefully it can hold it up. We have extra fuel tanks. We have the rudder and wing going on. We have 3 types of nose for different variants for the different countries. It is asking for 25 grams in the nose weight. I'll try and pack out as much as possible. Like I mentioned before about the canopy, where it just slots in, I would have preferred if this whole top piece was like one giant piece as clear or something, and it would have been easier to glue in and mask up and stuff. going to your landing gear, we have two-piece wheels, weight on wheels, which is a nice touch. We can have the landing gear up or down. This is down position. This is your back door and the ramp for loading. This is the side door with steps. This is having the ramp open or closed. These are the actuators for the ramp, the wheels and covers going in. This is the closed back door and ramp, and you've got your propeller and hub. It's the 4-bladed propeller. It's the super early version before the newer versions come out, which is like turboprop. These are basically I think the H is like the pretty much the first version of Hercules that come out. Refueling probe going in, I would leave that towards the end. There is a couple of aircraft I've built in the past, and where it sticks out slightly I've knocked it and broke it, and then it's flinged off somewhere and I haven't managed to find them, which can be annoying. This is your stencil data. These black lines is what was on the decals, like I mentioned before, is all your walkways. So let's take a look at the plastic. So there's this giant bag. So here's the whole tyre fuselage half of the aircraft. It's quite a large aircraft for 1/72. Like, it's quite chunky. It's just basically a workhorse. It's a superb aircraft in my opinion. It's been around a long time. It's done a hell of a lot. Pretty much every single country out there pretty much fly these. So anywhere you are in the world, you can pretty much make any markings you want. This is what you get for detail. Panel lines is not too bad, but there is no rivets. There's the internal wheel bay, sorry. One of the doors. And this is the giant tail. Most famous for at RIAT, when they paint the aircraft up for the air shows. This giant tail is normally painted up in some kind of scheme. Especially the Germans, they do like making their fancy paint schemes and stuff and art for air shows. This is what we get for attaching your wings. It's not, doesn't look overly secure. It looks a bit strange way, like I mentioned, because there was no structural bar or wing support. Hopefully it slots in nicely and it can hold its own weight, but I don't know. As for the inside, couple of ejector pins in places, but it's not too bad. You've got your rib detail. Unfortunately, you've got ejector pins on the inside of these. You may have to require some cleanup, especially if you've got the ramp open. Here is going to require another door and another door. This is what I mentioned about the glass going in. I would preferred if this whole tyre section top was one piece. It would have been easier to work to glue into place and easier to mask up. The other side is going to be pretty much the same. It's just reversed. So we can give you somewhat size of the aircraft to be. It's a nice size. There's only 3 bags, but each bag has got like 2 or 3 sprues in it. So this is what we have for engine nacelles. It is pretty crisp and clean. And pretty much the same on the other side. It's going to be no different. We have 2 of these. So this contains the blades, the center hubs, the rear part of the hubs. This is the front part of the engine nacelles, and we have internal engine parts like turbine blades and compressor sections. I think these pieces are to do with the exhaust system. It doesn't look too bad, this. As I say, there's 2 of these. We have the wings, which is, so there's 2 of these again. So we have lower and upper wing section. I think this is the lower. Again, it's all nice and crisp and clean for panel lines, but it's no rivets whatsoever. It's a bit like Airfix. Come on, focus camera. So yeah, it is good. It is nice and crisp and clean. It should make up a nice model. Unfortunately, the flaps are all moulded in. So if you want them opposable, you're going to have to acquire a little bit of work. This is what we get for internal seats. This is the bottom, and this is what we get for the actual top part of the seat, which you'd actually sit on, like the fabric. They don't look too bad. Now the last bag, which contains more parts. This is the biggest one of them all. Be careful, always check your bags, make sure nothing's come off. I have a little bit of plastic here, which looks like just a part of the sprue, not actual parts. So here we have your smaller wings at the back. Again, flaps are all moulded as one piece. And this is part of the landing gear segments. These are the wheels, inside and outside, with the brake segments. They look pretty good. Again, like I mentioned, it's weight on wheels. These are extra side pieces with the doors. These are the front wheels. Again, these are the other wings. And this is your center wing spar. Again, it's all nice and crisp and clean, but there's no actual structural wing spar, which that's what I'm worried about. On this sprue we consist of drop tanks, your noses, so these are part of the ends and the front of the landing gear segments. These are internal parts. There's a ladder. This piece here is your cockpit floor. Again, you've got jet pins on the inside you have to take care of. You might not even see them, but I wish they would have done them on the bottom, because you're not going to see the bottom, but they've done them on the top, which is a bit of a shame. This is what we get for drop tanks, or not drop tanks, but the extra fuel tanks for long range. This is more cockpit segment. This here are your crew figures, your pilots. They're pretty good for 1/72, and plastic as well. That's pretty cool. And then underneath you get your legs and arms. Here's your seats. Like I say, there's no detail on there because you've got your pilots to sit on there if you wish to do it. Part of the landing gear. This is part of the bulkhead. These are the landing gear doors. These are your 3 noses. They look pretty much similar and the same. This one's all smooth. This one's all got lines all over it, and this one's just got lines on top. Yeah, it's not too bad. We have this large sprue. This is probably the biggest one out of them all. So here's one segment of the cargo area. You do get the nice tie down areas for tying the cargo down, which is nice. It's moulded in. This is part of the ramp. We have internals. These are the pieces that require to cut at this center. Where this line is where you need to cut it, because it's obviously a little bit too long. It's probably done that for a different variant. This whole tyre section again needs to be shortened slightly. This is the roof, all the piping and hydraulic lines probably for the back door and ramp. This is more internals. This is more ramp sections. This is a bulkhead we have here. This is bulkhead. These are all internals. These are your doors. And these segments are part of the door system with the steps. Here's the part of the step system. And then we have all these fine detail parts. I'm not sure what these are for. Here's another roof segment with piping. It's pretty cool, nice and crisp. As I say, it should go together quite nicely, and it should make a good reputation of a Hercules, hopefully. So there you are, my friends. Another kit from Zvezda, C-130H Hercules, 1/72 scale. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you later.